When the season started, Mets manager Davey Johnson had no way of knowing that many of the signs of the New York Mets season would be negative. Keith Hernandez went on the DL June 13th, still not back. Gary Carter lasted a home run on May 16th. Still hasn't hit one, although he came close one time. He has not hit that elusive 300th career homer. But there have been positive signs. When the Mets met the Pirates in Pittsburgh, Howard Johnson's ninth-inning home run tied the game, and the Mets went on to win it in extra innings, making a statement to the hard-charging Pirates, who are still in second place. Many of the signs for Jim Leyland's team have been positive. The BB boys, Bonds and Bonilla, have been on target throughout most of the season, and they've been helped out by perhaps the most consistent player for the team, Andy Van Slyke. Not only one of the finest center fielders around, he leads the league in triples and has been consistent all year long. The Bucks have the talent, they have the drive and the desire, and now they trail the New York Mets by 2 games, going into the most important series of the year for either team. The first of 4 between New York and Pittsburgh, coming up next right here on WWOR-TV. Live from Shea Stadium in New York, it's Mets Baseball 88 as tonight the Mets take on the Pittsburgh Pirates. And Mets Baseball 88 is brought to you this evening by Budweiser. Beechwood Age for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. By Manufacturers Hanover, the financial source worldwide. By Nissan Cars and Trucks, built for the most important race of all, the human race. By the New York Daily News, New York's hometown paper. By the 9X Yellow Pages. If it's out there, it's in here. By Metropolitan Life Insurance. Get Met, it pays. And by your Lincoln Mercury dealers. Pitching for the Pirates tonight, it's left-hander John Smiley, who's 9-6 with an ERA of 3.02. And on the mound for the Mets, left-hander Bob Ojeda, 7-8 with an ERA of 3.37.
Hello again, everybody. I'm Tim McCarver, along with Steve Zabriskie and Rusty Staub. Ralph Kiner is at Cooperstown, New York, and he'll be there tomorrow night and Sunday afternoon, and he'll return next week. And I guess speaking of Ralph Kiner, he should be mighty proud because his old team, the Pittsburgh Pirates, are 2 games behind the Mets. The Mets, of course, everybody says they turn it off, turn it on. Now's the time for the Mets to turn it on, and I guess the question about the Pittsburgh Pirates, Rusty, are they too young to be in the thick of things?
Well, I can remember back in 1969 when a very young New York Met team, a lot of the same things were stated. It is rare when a young team wins the first time they challenge for a championship, but it certainly is possible. And the way the Pirates have played this year, I think the youth of their pitching staff has not been a negative. I just think that they're a real tough ball club, and they're going to be there.
They do have a left-handed pitcher starting tonight, John Smiley. He'll be opposed by Bobby Ojeda. These two matched up back on June 20th, and Smiley bested Ojeda.
He has not had a good start of the second half, though. He's lost a couple of games. His earned run average in those 2 starts was over 6. He's going to have his hands full because the Mets do feel like they can turn it on right now. They have the last 2 games before this one.
We'll see who has whose hands full after this word from Budweiser. Well, the Mets will be trying to do exactly that, to squash the Pirates from Pittsburgh. They will be opposing the Pirates 8 of their next 11 games. Bobby Ojeda and his numbers. He's 1 under 500 this year, a 7-8 record, 3.37 ERA. You see his strikeouts to bases on balls is very good. He's allowed 102 hits. Bobby Ojeda, 7-2 lifetime versus Pittsburgh.
And the lineup for the Pirates, Barry Bonds, Jose Lean, and Andy Van Slyke in the first 3 slots, followed by Bonilla, Wilson, Bream, LaValliere, Belliard, and Smiley.
So 3 left-handed hitters. Make that 4 left-handed hitters in there against Bobby Ojeda. And here's one of them, Barry Bonds, batting .295 with 18 home runs on the year. 1-1 to Barry Bonds. Defensively behind Ojeda, McReynolds, Wilson, and Strawberry in the outfield. Johnson, Elster, Tuffle, and Magadan in the infield, and Gary Carter behind the plate. Strike 2, 1-2. Leading off a ball game this year, Barry Bonds has doubled 9 times. He's tripled, and he has homered 5 times. Incredible extra base power from your leadoff hitter. 2-2 to Barry Bonds. Just underway here at Shea. Capacity crowd. Fly ball center field. Mookie Wilson. 1 out. The umpires for tonight's game, Country Joe West behind the plate, Bob Engel at first base, Tom Hallian, the second base umpire, and Charlie Williams down at third. This is the 3rd straight sellout for the Mets, and all of the other games in this series are sellouts also. Tomorrow night, Sunday afternoon, and Monday night's game. Jose Lind now the batter. He's on a 9-game hitting streak. Ball 1. Make that a strike. Delayed call from Country Joe.
There is some excitement down on the field for the players, too. The fans are very excited, but the players on both clubs are on an edge for this series.
You could feel the tension before the game. Swing and a miss to Lane. 0-2 to Jose.
Bobby Ojeda, smooth, good location, up and into Jose Lane. I think Ojeda's a good guy for the Mets to have on the mound for this opening game.
Why is that?
I think because he just doesn't let that surrounding stuff interfere with what he's going to do on the mound. I think more so than any other pitcher. I think his experience and his calmness on the mound are a plus for the Mets for this first game of this 4-game series.
Interesting point. 1-2 pitch foul back. Well, Ojeda has done well against the Pittsburgh Pirates, even though he's 0-1 this year. He was 2-1 last year, and if you remember last year, he only won 3 games. Undergoing elbow surgery as Davy Johnson looks on. Buddy Harrelson directing the infield play, as he always does. A ball and 2 strikes to Jose Lind. Outfield straightaway, as is the infield. If anybody's a straightaway hitter, it's Lind. Change up, he got a piece of it. Still 1-2. Lind has only missed 4 games this year. Swing and a miss at the high fastball. 2 outs here in the first.
Bobby Ojeda not known for the real hard fastball, but mixing those pitches up, gets it in a good location. It's called the tempting pitch, and Lind goes for it and has no chance to hit it.
Temptation to Pirates, huh?
Yes, it.
4 centuries ago,
a little carrot out there.
Plundered and pillaged. That's what the Pirates of today are trying to do to the National League East. Andy Van Slyke now batting .290 on the year. And the fastball is high. Andy with 14 doubles, 14 triples, and 16 home runs. He's 5th in the National League in slugging percentage. Strike 1-1.
That 1-3-4 slot for the Pirates, when you look into the top 10 in all the offensive categories, they're everywhere. All 3 of them.
Bobby Bonilla, the on-deck batter. Fly ball, left center field. It's hard to see now, twilight time, but McReynolds corrals it. The Bucks go in order in the top of the first. We'll go to the bottom of the first after this from the good old guys. Pirates, John, with a 9-6 record. He has worked in 21 games, 20 starts this year. That's after 75 relief appearances in his major league career. The Pirates made a starter of him, and he has responded very well.
The lineup for the Mets, it's going to be Wilson, Magadan, Tuffle. Strawberry, McReynolds, Carter, Johnson, Elster, and Bob Ojeda.
And Mookie Wilson leads it off. No score, bottom of the first inning for the Pirates defensively. Bonds, Van Slyke, Wilson, that's Glenn Wilson in right. Bonilla, Rafael Belliard, Jose Leaned, Sid Bream at first. Behind the plate, Mike LaValliere. As we said, 4 left-handed hitters starting against the Mets tonight. 0-1 to Mookie Wilson, batting .241 on the year. High, ball 1, 1-1.
Smiley, after an outstanding first half, as we said in the opening, has just struggled. He has not pitched well the last 2 times out.
0-2 and 3 starts since the All-Star game, and a changeup is fouled off. A ball and 2 strikes to Wilson. John, 6'4", 195, only 23 years old, from Phoenixville, Pennsylvania. He was a 12th round draft choice in June 1983. Hard to believe a left-handed pitcher was a 12th round draft choice. He throws like this guy. Still 1-2 to Wilson.
I can remember a lot of people as I was in high school, and then as a very, very young player coming out of high school. I had just turned 17 before I graduated. A lot of young players really had a lot of development to do physically yet. Some guys don't mature as quick as others. He might have been one of those.
You certainly weren't in that position, however. You were #1 choice of the Houston Astros. Or I don't guess the draft was in '62.
Yeah, I was. You and I were
bonus
before.
Baby. Yeah. Ground ball to Sid Bream at first base. Bream leads all National League first basemen in fielding percentage. He's an underrated player. 1 out.
I agree with you there. Yeah, one of the 2 things that date me the most in my career, the fact that I was there before the draft and then I played in the Polo Grounds, and you did both of them yourself, pal.
Gave us an early start on our broadcasting career.
That's it.
Here's Dave Magadan shoved into the #2 slot. The numbers for Dave, I think Dave's probably a better #2 hitter than any other spot in the lineup the way he's hitting right now.
Getting on base a lot. Scored a lot of runs during this one stretch.
He takes ball 1. About 25% of the time that the Mets have scored in the first inning. Ball 2 to Magadan.
I wonder what a good percentage is in that category.
The Yankees certainly have a good percentage this year. They have scored in the first inning a lot. I don't have the numbers. As a matter of fact, they've scored in the first inning tonight. Look up there. Yankees 1-0 over Toronto. And we will keep you updated. Nissan scoreboard. How about that? Mike Boddicker for Brady Anderson and a minor league pitcher as Magadan draws a walk. The Boston Red Sox, who have won 13 of 14 under Joe Morgan, are leading the Milwaukee Brewers 6-4 right now. And there's the trade that they're springing on us today. Mike Boddicker from the Orioles, the right-hander, for Brady Anderson and a minor league pitcher. There's Joe Morgan's Sox right there.
I'll tell you, when you see a trade like that, you really would like to know and have some information on who that minor league pitcher is, because I'm sure that's a very fine, young, talented player who the Baltimore Orioles feel are going to be part of their future.
Kirk Schilling, we understand, is the minor league pitcher, as Tim Tuffle steps up, batting .253, and the changeup for a strike. 0-1 to Tuffle. 2 things that Smiley has been doing that he did not do earlier in the year. Of course, I guess you have to learn to be a starting pitcher. He's throwing breaking balls early in the count and running the fastball in on the right-handed hitters. 2 changeups, however, and Tuffle stands 0-2 right now against John Smiley. No score, bottom of the first.
Davey Johnson pays a lot of attention to statistics, but he doesn't live by them. He's got Tim Tuffle in the 3 slot. It's an RBI slot. He's had a very poor average with men in scoring position. Only 122 on the season. So even though you hear a lot about Davey, he goes with what he feels is right that night very often.
Well, Tuffle down on strikes. It looked like 3 of the same pitch, or 3 types of the same pitches, all change-ups. Looked like Smiley's trying to turn that ball over, huh?
You see him right over the top. It's an off-speed pitch. Ball went down. Tuffle out in front and over the ball.
Darryl Strawberry now leading the majors in slugging percentage with a .593 slugging percentage. Tied with Jose Canseco of the Oakland A's for home runs with 26. Check swing, fouled off. He went to the fastball there. 0-1 to Strawberry.
Timmy, as you were saying earlier, manager Leland has those 4 left-handed hitters in a lineup, but one of the major reasons why he does is because offensive team on the field against the New York Mets, and that's what he has out there right now.
Sid Bream at first, LaValliere behind the plate, and some think that Andy Van Slyke is the best center fielder in the National League. Jammed with a fastball is Strawberry, and Bobby Bonilla in to make the play. The Mets are down without a whimper, no score. After 1, we're back after this from MetLife. From the Bronx leads it off for the Pirates here in the second. No score, and a fastball from Ojeda is outside. One of 4 everyday players to play in every game. Will Clark, Rafael Palmeiro, Steve Sachs, the other 3. And the fastball is high, 2-0. Base hit left field. The first hit of the ball game fielded by McReynolds. And Bonilla leads off the second with a hit to left.
Bonilla, who in this month of July has been slumping a little bit, only hitting .225 for this month. Did not look like he was in a slump on that pitch. Stayed right in there. Good turn on the ball. Line drive. Didn't come off that pitch.
Bonilla mild the threat to run at first base. And Glenn Wilson, the batter. Wilson, if you remember, came to the Pirates from the Seattle Mariners for Darnell Coles, and he takes strike 1. Wilson was not faring too well. He was really glad to get out of Seattle. He told me before the game that Dick Balderson, who was the general manager, told him to come in his office one day. He's got a gift for him, and the gift was a trade to the Pirates. Line to Ojeda, who's going to double Bonilla off first. Great play by Bobby Ojeda. 2 outs.
Just good, quick reactions by Ojeda here. Line drive right back through there. That just takes athletic ability. And you also have to put yourself in a position to be able to field a little bit. Some pitchers might not have been able to catch that ball because they wouldn't have been in a position to field once they finish their delivery. I think the Mets have one of the, when you count all the guys on their staff, one of the better pitching staffs as far as fielders that I've ever seen.
And hitters. Sid Bream takes a fastball outside. Sid batting .285 with 7 home runs on the year. He hits left-handers very, very well, in contrast to Andy Van Slyke. 1-1.
He struggled a little bit this year, though. He's hitting .216 against left-handed pitching in 1988.
Hasn't played against him as much.
That's it.
When Diaz came back, he's been at first base. A left-handed hitter really has to play against left-handed pitchers to hit them effectively.
I agree 1,000%.
Jim Leyland in his 3rd year as manager of the Bucks, and what a job he and Sid Thrift have done with this ball club in a very short period of time. He's a very popular, respected, no-nonsense manager. And as managers go, it's tough, as you see Sid Thrift, who's lost 55 pounds. But it's tough for a manager to be popular and respected at the same time. 2-2. A lot of managers say, well, this isn't a popularity contest. Why isn't it? If you communicate with players, doesn't it make sense that friends communicate better than enemies? Still 2-2.
I agree that it's not a popularity contest, but I also agree that, you know, you can do a lot better with a little sugar than you can with salt. There has to be some discipline with any manager.
It's true.
You have to have some discipline. It's like with your own children. We won't get into that too much depth. We have Dr. Spock writing us here.
Curveball lifted to center. Wilson on the run. Elster back, and it's Elster that makes the play. No runs a hit, none left. Scoreless through an inning and a half. We're back after this from Nissan. Here. Great line, isn't it? They're stopping in here for 4 games, and then the Mets return the favor next weekend, also an overlapping weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Line to left, McReynolds, like Bonilla, leads off the second with a base hit. Been heaven lately for him.
It certainly has been. Gets a pitch that's way up in the strike zone here. Smiley, from what I have seen, has used that changeup quite a bit. As poorly as he's pitched, I wonder if his arm's not bothering him a little bit, because he does not seem to be popping the ball.
It's interesting you say that, because in his first start after the All-Star game on July 14th, he pitched 1 inning against the Giants and left after that inning with an inflamed left hand. Here's Carter. Gary, batting .248, takes a changeup down. And to the right-handed hitters, he has thrown that changeup on a lot of first pitches. LaValliere looking in at Leland. See if he wants to call the pitch out or not. 1 ball, no strikes to Carter. Outside, ball 2.
Kevin McReynolds, who does not run very often, but has run impeccably. 13-0 in his stolen base attempts so far this year.
He has been perfect. On the outside corner, Carter does not agree with Joe West. But it's 2-1 to Gary Carter.
And if he runs and gets thrown out, you and I are going to get some letters, particularly me. You have to tell the facts, folks.
You mean all your letters aren't favorable? Smiley has a fair move to first base, kind of thinking right along with Rusty there. 2-1 count, a good running count. See if Davy Johnson puts Kevin in motion here.
I feel he's throwing with a slower rhythm than he did the last couple of times we've seen him, Tim.
There's the changeup again, and it's 2-2 to Carter.
If you're sitting on that bench and you're not paying attention to this, you're crazy, because now's the time. If a guy is struggling and he's not going to come with his best pitch, which you would figure is his fastball, he mixes them up very well in the first place. If he's throwing a lot of those pitches, you've got 2 strikes to kid around with. You go to the plate and you look for it.
There goes McReynolds. The changeup again is low, and McReynolds has stolen base number 14 on the year.
I feel better already. It's an off-speed pitch. Tough pitch for the catcher to handle. McReynolds got a good jump, slides in, straight in slide. Straight inside, in my opinion, is the best way to go on the second base. Go for that outside part of the bag, but straight in slide gets you there the quickest. All that trickery stuff just gets you out.
3-2 to Carter. Nobody out. And the changeup was low once again. Carter walks. The second walk issued by Smiley.
First base, Bob Engel, the umpire, says Gary Carter held up on that. I'll tell you, in this day and age, it's so difficult sometimes with all the slow motion replays that the umpires hear about. When a guy starts that bat, they're almost safe if they call strike every time.
Almost all the instant replays show that hitters go around. Hitters are so quick in bringing that bat back. Quickness, the middle name for Howard Johnson. Another changeup. Well, this is a strange John Smiley we're seeing so far. No balls, one strike to Johnson, and as you can see, he has really had some problems with left-handed pitchers.
He's also had some problems as of late, period. He's only had 2 hits in his last 33 at-bats.
Mets with runners at first and second. Nobody out, no score. We're in the second. Ground ball to third. Smothered by Bonilla, who steps on third, and that's it. It's really all Bonilla could do because Johnson runs very well. 1 out.
Well, it takes a little bit of an awkward hop for him. Has a little trouble getting it. Holds it down, decides to tag the bag. Makes a good decision. A younger player, or a guy who really isn't thinking, if you lose your composure, you come up throwing, you have no chance to get anybody out. All you can do is throw the ball away because you're trying to rush your throw.
So a fine play by Bonilla. There's 1 out now. Carter at second, Johnson at first, and Kevin Elster the batter. Kevin with those 6 home runs. The last 2 home runs have come against the Pirates. The changeup, swing and a miss, 0-1.
You know, we talk a lot about it. I just talked about it in the early part of this inning. When you come up to the plate, you have to be paying attention to what he's doing. If you come up to the plate and every right-handed batter almost has got a changeup first pitch, and you pull off the ball, you're not thinking.
Fastball is outside, 1-1.
So LaValliere there say he wanted it down, but Smiley might not have wanted to throw that ball over the plate. He might have just wanted to show it. Does not seem too proud of it tonight.
LaValliere continuing to look into the dugout after each pitch. Fly ball, right center field. Van Slyke back. Carter tagging at second. He'll go to third base easily. 2 outs now as Johnson retreats to first. The Mets with runners at first and third and 2 outs.
The pitcher, number 19, Bobby Ojeda.
Smiley, a curveball. It's up, but Elster doesn't. Well, he hits it fairly deep, but you don't want to hit a sacrifice fly with a man on second base. Caught a good base running. He knew the ball was going to be caught. You might as well take that 90 feet when you can get it.
The signs that LaValliere is giving John Smiley are the signs to throw through or throw back to Smiley. Bream is playing behind Johnson at first base. So if Johnson does run, we'll see where LaValliere goes. Will he throw through? I doubt it.
Well, with Gary Carter on third with not a lot of speed, you would not anticipate the double steal.
So maybe he is throwing through then.
I would think that's a throw through.
If that were the case, then Bream would probably be holding Johnson on. The chances of Johnson running, however, are remote. 1-1 to Ojeda. Because if Johnson's thrown out stealing, Ojeda leads off the third.
Their outfield is challenging Bob Ojeda incredibly in left field. Bonds his way in and down the left field line. Center field their way in.
Foul back again, 1-2 to Bobby.
They're thinking. That's what outfielders are supposed to do. You play the situation. It's something the Mets have improved on, but they have a lot more improvement that they can do with that.
LaValliere again looking to the bench.
He's got to be getting the signs from the manager.
Could be. High, ball 2. 2-2 to Ojeda.
And if not the manager, the pitching coach.
I look over there every pitch. I mean, even with Carter at second base, he's looking over there. Certainly, he can't be looking for a pitch out, can you? 2-2 to Ojeda. First and third, 2 outs. We're in the second. Swing and a miss. Ojeda down on strikes. That's strikeout number 2 for Smiley. No score after 2 innings of play here at Shea. We're back after this from New York Telephone. McCarver along with Rusty Staub and Steve Zabriskie here at Shea Stadium. Ralph Kiner is in Cooperstown, New York for the Hall of Fame celebration. Jim Leland sending up Mike LaValliere to lead off the third. And while we have a bit of a chance, we'd like to wish a speedy recovery to Sally Capobianco and also to Timmy Connors. Timmy's in the hospital. He's the son of one of the salesmen here at WWOR. And we hope your malady is well in a hurry. LaValliere batting .283, and the fastball is high to Mike. Pirate teammates kidding LaValliere about now being a member of the 1-and-1 club. 1 stolen base and 1 home run. Tuesday night in St. Louis, he had his first stolen base since a stolen base with Reading back in 1983. Wow, Pittsburgh, some 13.5 games better. 2-1 to LaValliere.
LaValliere's on-base percentage is .511. In his last 43 at-bats, he's been on base 23 times.
Line drive. Good play, Elster. Elster ranging to his left to catch the ball, hit by LaValliere. 1 out, and the batter, Rafael Belliard.
LaValliere got off to a great start this year, slumped, and has been coming on very, very strong. Kevin Elster's going to give him one of those little slight migraines on the way back to the dugout. You get those for a little while when someone catches a line drive.
Rafael Belliard, now only 9 RBIs. He is only 2 for his last 26, but that was after an 8-game hitting streak. He has the strangest extra base hit stats that I think I've ever seen in August for an everyday player. No doubles, 4 triples, and no home runs. Ground ball foul.
And he's on an AstroTurf field, which is really unusual.
So that should give you an idea about how to play your outfield. You play him like Bobby Ojeda, and your point's well taken because the Mets are really too deep for Belliard, Wilson especially. Strawberry rather shallow, but could be in 3 or 4 more steps. Ball and 2 strikes to Belliard. There are some guys that you're not going to let them hit the ball over your head. But, Rusty, you know that most guys built like Belliard, you're going to challenge them to hit the ball over your head.
You have to.
Most of his hits are going to be singles. 1-2 to Rafael. 1 out, no score in the third. First of a 4-game series. 2-2.
Belliard has fared extremely well against Mets pitching this year. He does have 7 hits and 16 at-bats. He's been a thorn in the side for Met pitching.
Case in point, a base hit for Belliard as the ball drops in front of Wilson and Strawberry.
Well, we could have written this text and it would have looked good. Just a little dunker in front of the outfielders.
In fairness to Mookie and Darrell, that ball was a tweener, but still, if the ball's a tweener, you can understand it. If Belliard plops a ball in front of a opposite fielder, you're playing too deep. That's really, it's as simple as that. Smiley to bunt. And it's a good one. Magadan to Tupple covering. So the sacrifice successful. And with 2 outs, the batter, Barry Bonds.
This is textbook all the way. Good bat positioning. Hits it on the end of the bat. Deadens the ball. Magadan has to go to first, doing his job. Smiley.
Barry Bonds flied to center his first at bat. No score. We're in the top of the third inning. The Pirates trailing the Mets by 2 games, and the Montreal Expos trailing by 7. The Expos have won 5 in a row.
They have very, very quietly snuck up on the rest of the Eastern Division of the National League. People had discounted them a long time ago.
Right.
In error.
Ojeda blows the fastball by Bonds. 0-1 to Barry. He's also third in slugging. Not too often you get a leadoff hitter with the slugging numbers as young Barry Bonds. Has an ailing left knee. He went to Cleveland to a doctor last week, and they said no surgery was needed. Another fastball, strike 2.
Good location here by Bob Ojeda. Bonds wants to pull everything right now, it seems. Instead, outside corner of the plate.
Outside, ball 1. A ball and 2 strikes now to Barry Bonds.
Bonds didn't even offer at that ball.
Didn't miss by much either.
No, that was close. That inner half of the plate, it's what he's looking for. It's got to be.
Ojeda back outside. It's 2-2 to Bonds.
At least that time he was leaning a little bit. Might have been able to cover the outside part of the plate.
2 hits for the Pirates, 1 for the Mets. Belliard at second base. 2 outs here in the third. Curveball, nice play by Carter. That runs the count to 3 balls and 2 strikes.
We're talking about, going to get a look here at this ball in the dirt. Carter blocks it well. Keeps it in front. Got an arm on that one. The outfielders right now, we're talking about a little bit of outfield play. You have a fast man at second base and there's 2 outs. It's a 3-2 count. You're not going to throw him out at the plate. He's going to get a great jump on any kind of ball that's hit. And unless it's an absolute bullet, you've got to throw the ball to second base and not let him get another man in scoring position.
3-2 pitch, high and in. So Bonds walks for the 46th time this year. First walk issued by Ojeda. And the batter, Jose Lind.
Second baseman, Jose Lind.
That is well pointed out, Rusty, because with 2 strikes and 2 outs, the runner at second, nobody's bothering to hold him on. There's no chance of him stealing, but the minute the hitter starts swinging the bat, he's off. So a guy with decent speed, there's no chance on him. First and second, 2 outs now, and the changeup lined at Elster. Good play to second for the out. Kevin Elster on a fine play to get Jose Lind. No runs, a hit, and 2 left. After 2.5, no score. We're back after this from Cadillac. It's it off here in the bottom of the third inning of a scoreless ball game. Mookie grounded to Sid Bream at first, his first at bat. Change up, hit to left field. 1 out. John Smiley, for the most part, has started every right-handed hitter off with a straight change. Maybe trying to turn that ball over, but it looks like a palm ball. A lot of motion. Ball's not there. Magadan now. He walked on 4 pitches in the first. Popped up left side. Bonilla, Belliard, And it's Bonilla. 2 pitches and 2 outs here in the 3rd inning. Good play by Bonilla.
It's getting just past that twilight period that makes it so difficult to see the ball. Bonilla got a good jump, had this all the way. He danced a little bit, but that's only because the ball was drifting.
Dancing on the balls of your feet is all right.
Yes.
Dancing on the heels is not. Kind of like ballroom dancing, the same thing.
It's one of the first things they teach those outfielders, to run on your toes. You run on your heels, boy, you're going to miss some pitches.
See a lot of baseballs up there when you run on your heels.
Oh.
You really get dizzy.
Be dancing around.
Tim Teufel now takes a strike. Teufel struck out in the 1st inning. The Mets with a scoring opportunity in the 2nd. They had 1st and 2nd, nobody out. They failed to score. So 0-2 to Teufel.
Tuff's been swinging the bat extremely well. 6 for his last 13 coming into this game. He struck out the first time up. Just feeding breaking ball after breaking ball, showing the fastball occasionally.
Ball and 2 strikes to Teufel. Breaking ball in the dirt. 2-2 to Tim. He has thrown the fastball to Magadan and Strawberry. Jamming Strawberry and Magadan. There's the changeup to get Teufel. 2nd strikeout. Make that the 3rd strikeout for John Smiley. As the Mets go in order in the 3rd. No score after 3. This game rapidly moving. And we're back after this from Manufacturers Hanover. Andy Van Slyke will lead it off for the Pirates here in the top of the 4th inning of a scoreless ball game. 2 hits for Pittsburgh, 1 for the Mets. Here to call it for you, Steve Zabriskie.
Thank you, Timmy, and a good evening to you and to everybody. And speaking of everybody, looks like almost everybody's here tonight. Bunch of folks. It's going to be that way all weekend. Van Slyke in the 1st inning ended it by flying to left field. He's 0 for 1. And he pops it up in foul territory outside of 3rd. Johnson runs out of room, however. It's about 4 or 5 rows back for strike 1. Andy Van Slyke, although the Pirates have artificial surface in their home ballpark, has a significantly higher batting average on grass. He's hitting .358 on grass. Breaking ball a little bit high, 1-1. Jim Leland in the background leaning on the water cooler. Van Slyke fouls another one off, and it's 1-2. The game is moving rapidly, but Timmy, you and Rusty alluded to the fact that it appears that Bob Ojeda is working more slowly than he ordinarily does. Maybe that's by design.
John Smiley and Bobby Ojeda are working slower than normal.
That breaking ball outside, and it's now 2-2. Bob is 7-2 lifetime against Pittsburgh, but Smiley is 3-0 against New York. A curveball weakly grounded to 2nd. Teufel gets it to Magadan, and there's 1 out here in the 4th. And the first of this 4-game series being brought to you in part this evening by the Good Olds Guys, your New York, New Jersey, and Southern Connecticut Oldsmobile dealers, and by the New Jersey Bell Yellow Pages, the one that works. 1 out, nobody on for Bobby Bonilla, who got a base hit but was doubled off in the 2nd inning. And playing before the home folks agrees with Bonilla. Tore it up here at Shea Stadium last year, and he's hitting over 300 against New York again this season. Down low, ball 1.
Only Incidentally, John Kruk of the San Diego Padres hit higher at Shea Stadium than Bonilla did last year as a visiting player.
Grounded to third. Johnson deep behind the bag with a long, strong throw to get Bonilla 2 away.
Take a look at the Nissan National League scoreboard. 1-0. The Philadelphia Phillies over the Chicago Cubs. Phillies had lost 3 in a row. Cardinals over Montreal, 2-0 that game in the top of the third. Atlanta at San Francisco, Houston at Los Angeles. A big series out there between the Astros and the Dodgers. And Cincinnati at San Diego later on.
Here is the clean-shaven Glenn Wilson. And the changeup, a strike on the outside corner, 0-1. Although it appears as if Wilson is not going to be clean-shaven for long. He may be growing that beard back. He lined into a double play in the second. 1-1. Glenn apparently not only getting rid of the beard, although he has stubble, apparently gone to contact lenses. Swing and a miss, and makes it 1 ball and 2 strikes. 2 out and nobody on, no score in the top of the 4th inning. Down low, 2-2.
Talking to Wilson before the game, and he told me that when he was with Seattle, he really started to lose his confidence. He said Dick Williams, his manager this spring, buried him right off the bat. Wanted to platoon him. A lot of the fans were, he said they painted that 850 across his shirt when he got there, and I didn't understand that. I asked him about it. He said, you know, making $850,000.
Sharp one hopper and a deep long throw for Elster, and he gets Wilson on a fine play. Good defense by New York, and a 1-2-3 inning for Ojeda here in the 4th. After 3.5, still no score. We're back after this for the good old guys. The crowd coming alive in the bottom of the 4th as Darryl Strawberry will lead it off. Darryl popped out to third baseman Bobby Bonilla to end the 1st inning. No score as we start the bottom of the 4th inning. A drive high to left field down the line, but plenty of time and room for Bonds, and there's 1 out.
We saw the National League scoreboard. Let's take a look at the American League Nissan scoreboard and look at the Boston Red Sox. First game of a doubleheader. They've now won 14 of 15 under Joe Morgan. No score in the second game. Detroit over Texas 3-2. No score also in the second game. 4-1 Toronto over the Yankees at Exhibition Stadium up in Toronto. 1-0 the Cleveland Indians over the Minnesota Twins. That game in the 3rd. In the 2nd inning, Kansas City over Baltimore 3-1. No score California at Chicago in the 1st. And Oakland at Seattle later on.
Here's Kevin McReynolds, who takes one high for ball 1. McReynolds with a base hit to left field in the 2nd. And stole his 14th base of the year without being caught this season. But was forced at 3rd. 1-1. Ira Johnson getting ready. Popped up in the infield. Jose Lean calling for it. And 2 away. John Smiley may be working slowly, but he certainly is working efficiently, and the Mets are helping him in that regard. He hasn't thrown very many pitches.
In the 3rd inning, he got by with 6 pitches, and he's thrown 3 and gotten 2 outs here in the 4th. So 5 outs and 9 pitches in the last 5 hitters, or for the last 5 hitters.
Gary Carter walked his first time up, and he takes high and inside ball 1. Fastball fouled back, 1-1. Although Carter still is looking for that most elusive 9th home run of the year. I'll call it that to avoid saying his 300th career.
I mean, he has 299 career home runs. Come on.
You hadn't heard about that?
No.
I think they know about that in Madagascar by now. But Gary has hit the ball quite well of late in his last 10 starts, hitting .324.
Yeah, since the All-Star game, he is really, come on, he's hitting the ball sharply and with authority.
Again, it's high. 2 balls, 1 strike. If Carter continues to make the kind of contact that he's made the last couple of weeks, he will eventually, obviously, get that home run. That one just nipped the corner. 2 balls, 2 strikes. By that, I mean he'll get that home run soon. Down low, 3-2. Smiley's thrown a lot of changeups. And that was another one, particularly, and I think you pointed this out, Tim, earlier, to right-handed hitters. So we'll see what he gives Carter with a 3-2 pitch. 2 out and nobody on, and no score in the bottom of the 4th. A fastball, Carter hits it deep to left. Hooking foul. The second time since May 16th, when Carter hit his last home run, that he has flirted with number 300 and hit it foul.
Gary knew it was foul all the way. He didn't even start running to first. Interesting crowd reaction in the background.
Strike 3 call. Carter thought it was ball 4, but Smiley picks up his 4th strikeout and retires the Mets in order here in the 4th inning. No score after 4, and we're back after this for Ivory Soap. John Smiley on the bench, and he had a reaction.
Funny, Carter thought it was a ball, and Smiley, because it was a strike, reacted vigorously.
He was calling it himself.
Yeah.
Got to learn to use the right arm instead of the left arm, though, when you call those strikes. Sid Bream with strike 1. Bream, the first time up, popped up to short left field. Kevin Elster making the play. Fastball high and away, and it's 1-1. Bream will be followed by Mike LaValliere and Rafael Belliard here in the 5th inning for Pittsburgh. No score. The first of 4 big ones here at Shea. Again, the fastball. This time it's a strike. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Mookie Wilson playing Sid Bream to hit the ball the other way.
Bream's got good power the other way, too. He's not only an average hitter the other way, he's got good power to left center. That's his slot.
Chases a breaking ball. And Ojeda picks up his 2nd strikeout. Out number 1 here in the 5th inning.
The catcher, Mike LaValliere.
3 fastballs, and now Uncle Charlie. What good breaking ball. That one really bit away nicely.
That single pitch probably the number 1 reason why left-handed hitters have so many problems against left-handed pitchers. And Mike LaValliere, another left-hander, takes a strike. LaValliere lined to short in the 2nd. 0 for 1, and Spanky, as they call him, has hit just a little over 100 against Mets pitching this year. Fastball for strike 2. LaValliere comes alive when you get guys in scoring position. Hitting over 400. Outside 1-2. Picked up his first stolen base in the big leagues this week. Said it felt like a safe was lifted off his back. Can run like the wind now.
He got a safe call at second.
telling me before the game he's working on going back into first now because he knows guys are going to be throwing over there now.
Yeah, they'll be watching.
Breaking ball. See you later. Ojeda has struck out the first two here in the fifth inning.
On curveballs. Bream swinging and LaValliere taking.
Nothing you can do about it, but towed it on back. Rafael Belliard with a bloop base hit in the third. One of only 2 hits by the Pirates. And a high chopper to short. An easy inning for Bobby Ojeda, who has retired 7 in a row. In the middle of the fifth inning, no score here at Shea. Now here's a word from Budweiser.
Has held the Pittsburgh Pirates to 2 hits through 5 innings. His opponent, John Smiley, has held the Mets to 1 hit in 4 innings. Pirates and Mets, no score, bottom of the fifth inning. Howard Johnson now grounded to a fielder's choice on a nice play by Bobby Ojeda. Back in the second inning, and the curveball is low, 1-0. The pattern continues.
Something off speed. The first ball to almost every hitter, especially if they're batting from the right side.
1-0 to Johnson. There's the changeup for a strike, 1-1. Foul tip, 1-2. When Johnson was up with runners at first and second and nobody out back in the second inning, he grounded into that fielder's choice. And I think that is one problem that the Mets are having that is an indication of their offensive sluggishness over the last 2 months. Their failure to advance runners along with nobody out, especially with a runner at second base. Just the type of attack that they have. They don't have those types of hitters. 5th strikeout for Smiley, 1 out.
Up next, the shortstop, Kevin Elser.
You rarely see the Mets score with a leadoff double, move to third on an infield hit, and a sacrifice fly drives him in. I mean, that's just one mode of scoring that has almost been non-existent for the Mets.
Well, the predominant mode of scoring has been the home run, a league-leading 90 on the year. When that's absent, much of the scoring's absent.
Elster pops up, foul territory, and Bonilla and Belliard giving chase. 0-1 to Elster.
Much has been made, obviously, about Keith Hernandez's absence, and I'm of the opinion, and I guess I'm certainly not alone in that regard, that most of that is psychological on the part of the other players, and if that creates a problem for them. But one thing that is evident is that the Mets do not hit and run as much without Hernandez.
No. No, Hernandez certainly adds that particular ingredient, the fiber to the lineup that a lot of first and third situations, a lot of those types of runs that are scored because of Hernandez's presence. 0-2 to Elster.
And Keith perennially has been among the league leaders in sacrifice flies.
On base percentage. Line drive right field. And in is Glenn Wilson, and he makes the play. Glenn playing a shallow right field. He doesn't make this play if he's not shallow.
Wilson, when he was with the Phillies, certainly one of the premier fielders in the National League. Positioning is so much a part of playing the outfield. You give yourself a chance to make the play. And Wilson, when he has a chance, usually makes it.
He led the National League in assists in 1985 and 86. Ball and no strikes to Bobby Ojeda. 1-1. No score, bottom of the 5th inning. A rapidly moving ball game. Fly ball, left field, easy play for Barry Bonds. And that's 11 in a row retired by Smiley. No score after 5. We're back after this from R.C. Cola. A scoreless ball game, top of the 6th inning. John Smiley will lead it off for the Pirates. Pittsburgh with 2 hits, the Mets with 1, and it's 1 ball and no strikes to Smiley. Strike 1, 1-1. Even though it is a scoreless ball game, I guess a mild advantage to the Mets because Wilson leads off the Mets half of the 6th and Smiley leads off the Pirate half. Now, if Smiley gets a base hit, that advantage disappears in a hurry. But you always love to see the pitcher lead off an inning. Thrifty have been Ojeda and Smiley.
They've also both been around the plate for the most part. Bobby's walked only 1.
High, ball 2, 2-2.
John Smiley has yet to develop into a big league hitter. He gets a hit once every 10 times up. 4 for 40. But at least he's had 40 at bats.
2-2 to John. Swing and a miss. Strikeout number 4 for Ojeda. 440 in track important, but not in baseball.
Well, he's making his 20th start tonight. He's had 40 at bats, so he's averaging 2 at bats per start. Maybe that should be a new stat. No, we don't need any stats, any new stats.
No, we don't.
At bats per start by a pitcher.
Barry Bonds now the batter. Barry is 0 for 1 with a walk. No score, top of the 6th inning. Curveball. I was going to say changeup. Was an off-speed pitch, but the curve, Bonds lays off of it. Is a ball and no strikes to Barry. One and one.
Barry's been struggling lately. 3 hits in his last 23 times up. But in spite of that, he is still hitting .356 over his previous 18 games. So before the slump, he was red hot.
Outside, ball 2. We talked about his left knee earlier. He also jammed his right ankle in St. Louis on Tuesday night, scoring in the 10th inning on Jose Lean's double. Base hit right field. That's the 3rd hit of the game for the Pirates. And before that hit, Ojeda had retired 8 bucks in a row. And here's Jose Lean. Look for the hit and run here.
Ojeda with a fastball. It's a little bit up in the strike zone, a little bit higher up in the strike zone than Ojeda would ordinarily like it to be. And Barry handled it well.
Lean handles the bat well also. And for that reason, y'all see him almost peek down at Bonds. Almost looking at Bonds. When a right-handed hitter does that, it could be an indication that the runner at first is running. But Bonds is not running, and the fastball is high, ball 1. To Lean. not running, and the fastball a strike to Lean. 1-1.
Gene Lamont with a new series of signs.
Bond's not running again, and Lean fists it toward first, and now Magadan wanted to go to second, and he prudently went to first. So Bonds moves to second. There are now 2 outs, and Andy Van Slyke the batter.
Center fielder, Andy Van Slyke.
The ball was just not hit sharply enough, even though David was playing in, because he was holding the runner on. And Bonds, of course, even with his ankle and knee problems, still runs pretty well, but so does Lean. And Magadan almost took a little bit too long after making up his mind, and only was able to get there a step or so ahead of Jose.
So the game's only run potentially at second base. No score in the second, and grounded weakly towards second. Tuffle throws out Van Slyke. No runs, 1 hit, 1 left. After 5.5, no score, and we're back after this from AT&T. Packed house here at Shea, and a reminder that you're watching Mets Baseball 88. WWOR-TV, Secaucus, New Jersey. Scoreless ball game, bottom of the 6th, and Mookie Wilson takes a changeup inside from John Smiley. The Mets with only 1 hit, a single by Kevin McReynolds to open the second inning. Line sharply, but it's foul. About a foot foul, called properly by third base umpire Charlie Williams.
Charlie does a good job in 2 respects here. He gets himself out of the way and is able to make the call.
1-1 to Wilson. Inside, ball 2, 2-1. We'll be on the air tomorrow night at 7 o'clock, and then Sunday afternoon at 1:30. And then, of course, the Mets play on Monday night, playing Pittsburgh. Unusual overlapping weekend, and they go to Pittsburgh and do the same thing next weekend. 8 games against the Pirates in the next 11 days.
Well, so far, this ball game tonight suffering from a case of perhaps overhype, because the game, although it is a tight ball game, well-pitched ball game, well-played ball game, it has not lived up so far to the expectations, I'm sure, of many of the fans.
Jam with a fastball. Bonilla throws out Wilson on a nice play by Sid Bream at the other end. That's 12 in a row retired by Smiley.
Bonilla, knowing that he has to go quickly, throws it in the dirt, but Bream saves him as Bonilla rushed to throw, and of course had to throw on the run to get Wilson in the first place. A good short hop pickup by Sid Bream.
That'll bring up Dave Magadan for the Mets. Mets' only chance to score. McReynolds singling and stealing second in the second. Carter walked, and that was it. The only other base runner has been Dave Magadan in the first inning. Smiley has struck out 5. He's walked 2. 1 ball, no strikes to Dave Magadan. That was in a pinch hitting role to left field in Pittsburgh. Rounded foul. To Dave Magadan. Bottom of the 6th, no score. The changeup for a strike. Rarely do you see the changeup lefty to lefty. 1-2 to Magadan.
Smiley again, no matter who the hitter is or from which side, staying with off speed and breaking stuff.
2-2 to Dave.
Magadan, with his walk in the first, has now been on base with either a hit or a walk in 34 of his last 36 games.
Fastball is fouled away down the left field line. Barry Bonds near the stands, but it's 15 rows back. The Mets have never beaten Smiley. He was 2-0 in relief appearances last year, 1-0 this year as a starter. So he has every reason to be named as Smiley.
If for no other reason than his mastery of the Mets. And he's got him shut out so far on a one-hitter.
That's his name, but I've never seen him do it. Fastball outside. 3-2 to Magadan.
Well, tonight you might see him do it if he finishes the game with a victory, especially if he keeps the shutout going.
No score. Bottom of the 6th inning. 3-2 to Magadan with 1 out and nobody on. Deep to center field. Van Slyke back. And he makes the over-the-shoulder catch. Fine running play by Andy Van Slyke on the hardest hit ball of this ballgame. 2 outs.
The only problem for Dave Magadan was he hit it to the deepest part of the ballpark. And ordinarily, if the ball has any kind of hang time and stays in the ballpark, Andy Van Slyke will catch it. They don't call him slick for nothing. It's because he is one slick fielding outfielder.
Had fine play in the All-Star game as a left fielder. Tim Tuffle.
You could tell by the way Van Slyke went after that ball. He felt he was going to catch it all the way. He had a beat on it, and he was with it until it was right in his glove.
Change up, swing and a miss. 0-1. It has been a defensive ball game up to now. By LaValliere, 1-1.
Even the pitchers are pitching defensively.
We mentioned that Smiley was a 12th round draft choice. Actually, he was drafted by Pittsburgh after attending a tryout camp in Westchester, Pennsylvania. Hit fairly deep to left field, but playable by Barry Bonds. That is 14 in a row retired by Smiley. He and Ojeda are going at each other. It's no score after 6. Rusty Staub will join Steve after this from Nissan.
And Smiley congratulating Andy Van Slyke at the end of the inning as Van Slyke made this fine play. And here's Rusty Staub back in.
Well, you called it yourself, Steve. He's just done a fine job. One of the best things Pittsburgh ever did was move him into center field and move Bonds into left. It's helped not only defensively, but I think they've played better offensively because they're both comfortable playing where they are.
It's a good point, and I think you're right. Bobby Bonilla, the cleanup hitter for the Pirates, leading it off. 1 for 2 with a base hit back in the 2nd inning. 1 of 3 Pirate hits. We're scoreless here as we start the 7th inning. And Bobby Ojeda nipping the corner with a dead fish, and it's 0-2 to Bonilla.
Joe West has been very consistent. He's had a wide plate, but a very consistent plate all night.
Down low. 1-2. Bobby started the game hitting .293 overall, but .339 on the road. And he hits this one high and deep to left center, but McReynolds is there. One away.
Nissan National League scoreboard. Philadelphia over Chicago. That's the top of the 5th, 2-0. St. Louis 5, Montreal. The hot Montreal team being cooled off in Montreal. That's also bottom of the 5th. Atlanta will play in San Francisco, Houston in Los Angeles, and Cincinnati and San Diego later tonight.
1 out, nobody on for Glenn Wilson, who's 0 for 2. Blowing away, ball 1. The acquisition of Wilson, Rusty, just to pick up on your point about outfield defense, may have given Pittsburgh about the best defensive outfield outside of maybe the St. Louis Cardinals, with Coleman and McGee and Brunansky, who's not known as a defensive player. Wilson, of course, with a fine arm.
He's a challenge right fielder in the National League, the American League, and Pony League. No matter where you're playing, you need a guy who's willing to challenge in right field if you want to stop those runners not only from scoring, but from going first to third. Now, you're talking about a guy who has led the league in assists, but that's not the most important thing. You know, that's fine. That's a great stat. But the guys that don't run because he's out there is even more important.
It's not how many guys you throw out. It's how many guys choose not to try to go the extra base against you because of your ability.
Well, it's obviously a combination of the both, but
true.
Sometimes that other stat gets lost in the translation. They don't count that one, and it's a big one.
Yeah, there's no... Tim and I were talking, we don't need any more stats. Fortunately, there isn't one for how many guys don't run against you.
Well, that's...
But you're right. It's overlooked.
Yes.
The fact is overlooked. 2-2 now to Glenn. Tim was talking earlier about how Glenn Wilson felt as if he was buried immediately upon being traded from Philadelphia to Seattle. Manager Dick Williams wanting to platoon him. You have to start to wonder as a player, why the heck did you trade for me if you're not going to play me? The fastball gets him, and Bob Ojeda picks up his 5th strikeout. And there are 2 gone here in the 7th inning.
Mixing it up very well. This time it's a fastball out of the strike zone. Wilson looking for an off-speed pitch. He was way behind that fastball. No doubt about it, he was looking for something off-speed.
2 out and nobody on for Sid Bream. And there's been a lot of 2 out and nobody on in this game. A little bit high, ball 1. The Mets only had 2 base runners in 1 inning at one time. That was in the 3rd. I mean the Pirates, excuse me, when Belliard singled and Barry Bonds walked. The Mets had 2 runners on. Also, back in the 2nd inning, McReynolds with a single and Carter walked. 2-0 to Bream. That's right in there, 2-1. The fastball by a hitter, and it's strike 2, 2-2.
Sid Bream took the last fastball in the outside corner. This time he goes out there and tries to get it. It's on the outside part, and he's trying to pull it. Trying to get a little power, a little extra base hit there with 2 outs. But that's rare to be able to do that. Pull that outside pitch.
Strike 3 called at the knees. Bream caught looking. Ojeda has struck out 6. We're in the middle of the 7th inning. Still no score. We're back after this for Bud Light. Shea wants Darryl Strawberry to put a straight digit up there on the board, leading off the 7th inning. Darryl takes a fastball high for ball 1.
This is the first time I've seen the Met fans use that Darryl call. Usually it's on the road with somebody trying to agitate him.
Well, the Mets fans have turned it around in favor of the straw man. Check swing foul into the seats. 1 ball, 1 strike. Strawberry, the league leader with 26 homers. Smiley has only given up 7 home runs in 137 innings of work. A strike called makes it 1-2. John Smiley has not allowed a base runner since the 2nd inning. And the only hit for New York was a leadoff single by Kevin McReynolds in the 2nd. Fastball gets Strawberry, and Smiley has struck out 6.
Some breaking balls away. He comes inside. Good fastball. Good location. Just beat Strawberry up and in. You see Smiley's reaction. Good fluid motion. A little jerkish at the end there.
Now he will face the right-handed hitting Kevin McReynolds, who's 1 for 2. High and deep to left, but not deep enough. McReynolds got under it, and Bond squeezes it for the 2nd out here in the 7th inning.
When you get all your timing and you hit the ball in the fat part of the bat, like McReynolds did there, when you get under it just a tad, you just can't believe it. It was the before he got it, and he just got under it.
So we're right back to another situation of 2 out and nobody on for Gary Carter, who is 0 for 1 plus a walk. And Carter hits a high fastball into short center field. Leaned, going a long way, and Jose Leaned, showing that great range and ability, helps John Smiley retire the Mets in order yet again. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15 in a row for Smiley. We go to the 8th inning. Still no score after this for the good old Skies. 8th inning baseball, no score in the first of 4. John Smiley will hit 3rd in this inning. I said he'd retired 15 in a row. He has. He's retired the Mets in order the last 5 innings in a row. But his total is actually 17 in a row retired, as he got the final 2 in order in the 2nd inning. So Smiley in command is scheduled to bat 3rd, and Mike LaValliere leads it off against Bob Ojeda here in the 8th. And Mike is 0 for 2. The fastball is high, ball 1.
Manager Jim Leland has somebody warming now in the bullpen. And take no chances. Smiley is not a good hitter. If he gets something going, he may go to a pinch hitter.
Fouled out of play by LaValliere, 1-1.
Mets have had a very good record in 1-run games. 20 wins, 11 losses.
A little tight, 2-1. Looking ahead to the bottom of the 8th inning, Ojeda is also scheduled to hit 3rd. So a lot of what happens to Bob, a part of it at least, is going to be determined by what he does here in the top of the 8th. LaValliere fouls it straight back into the screen, and the strike, or rather the count, is now 2-2.
Is that like the old football games? You used to count penetrations? Equal on penetrations too?
That's right. You know, I think they still do that in Division II and Division III college football.
Really?
If it's a tie game.
Inside the 20 is a
yeah,
penetration?
they play an extra period or an extra overtime deal, and they give the ball to a team in a certain corner of the field and see if they can score. Then they give it to the other team, see if they can score.
That sounds like it.
And then if they get more penetrations without scoring, everybody goes home.
Really?
Yeah. Something like that. It's a complicated playoff tie-breaking system because they're not going to play another game. Breaking ball, nubbed and rolling foul outside the 3rd base line. Even though LaValliere who stole his first base in the big leagues last week. Doesn't run well. He might have been safe if that ball stayed fair. Bob Kipper and Barry Jones throwing. Kipper, the left-hander, farthest away from you. And Jones appears to be ready.
It was late in the game here in Shea Stadium that on a bunt play, Bob Ojeda, that ball kind of reminded me of it. The ball went down that third baseline. Bob Ojeda threw the ball away. There's the big play in the Pittsburgh win here at Shea.
Magadan goes into the hole to get it and throws behind Ojeda, and it's off his glove. LaVallier's safe, and we'll see how they score it. Magadan did a good job to get over and make the play, but threw the ball behind Ojeda, and Bob couldn't reach back and hold it.
You see him down the line. This ball is toward the hole. Shows decent range. Makes the toss. Ojeda's got to reach behind him, though. That's the toughest thing. Once that pitcher gets his momentum going to first base, to be able to reach behind himself and try to catch a ball is very difficult.
Hindsight's always 20/20, but it would have been an easier play for Tuffle as he was moving toward the bag and appeared to have it.
And they haven't called that play, so they must be looking at it a couple of times. It certainly is a tough error if they give an error.
Here's Rafael Belliard, who is 1 for 2. And he doesn't appear to be bunting as he takes low and away ball 1.
That's a little surprising to me. I would have bet the ranch.
Doesn't mean he won't be here. They have charged an error on the play, but we don't know whether it's on Magadan or Ojeda. Ball 2 to Belliard. If I were scoring, I would have a tendency to give it to the first baseman Magadan.
Well, if there's an error, it has to be on Magadan.
Well, stranger things have happened, as you well know, when it comes to scoring. So we won't say who it is on until we actually find out for sure. But the odds are it would be a throwing error on Magadan. On the corner, 2 balls and 1 strike. Nobody out. Top of the 8th inning, no score. And Mike LaValliere aboard on an error for Rafael Belliard. And pitcher John Smiley waiting on deck.
And R.J. Reynolds behind him in the dugout, gloves on, bat in hand.
Fouled away. The count 2-2.
Jim Leyland playing it very aggressive here.
We now know that the error was in fact charged to Dave Magadan. First error of the ball game for either team. And the Pirates have the leadoff man aboard here in the 8th. Slow roller to third. Johnson goes to second in time. Good play by Johnson and Elster, knowing the speed or lack thereof of the runner. They get the lead runner at second for the first out of the inning. As LaValliere's forced.
Good decision. What you said is it, Steve. You have to think this play out before. You have to know your base runner, and Howard Johnson certainly did. Good play.
I think I said Johnson and Elster. I obviously meant Johnson and Tuffle. So Hojo back to the position after a brief infield meeting. With now Belliard at first and 1 out, and Smiley definitely in a bunting situation. He did a good job getting a sacrifice down successfully back in the 3rd inning. And he makes another good bunt. Ojeda will go to first, the Tuffle covering. So Belliard moves into scoring position now with 2 out.
Second very good bunt. They put that little circle just in front of the line there, about 30-35 feet away from home plate. That would be the perfect bunt all the time. You could almost see that ball go in that circle.
You take it away from the catcher. It's not hard enough for the first baseman, and the pitcher That's far enough to go to where the play at second base is negated. Leadoff man Barry Bonds, 1 for 2 plus a walk, had a single to right back in the 6th inning. Pirates with the go-ahead run at second with 2 out here in the 8th. Popped up, and it may be playable in foul territory. Magnin over with room. Tuffle calling. Makes the catch in fair territory. And the inning is over. An error and 1 left here in the 8th inning for Pittsburgh. Bob Ojeda and John Smiley still locked up in a scoreless duel after 7 1/2. Now here's a word from Mita Copiers. Here for the New York Mets, a total of 51,333 on hand. A paid crowd of 49,584, the largest paid crowd of the year. And all the games in this series are sold out. Howard Johnson leads off the 8th, and it was Hojo in the 9th against Pittsburgh. Remember, who tied up the ball game during that series against the Pirates the last time these two teams met. Johnson takes the ball inside. Hojo tonight 0 for 2. Reached on a fielder's choice and struck out. Johnson with just 2 hits in his last 35 at bats. Down low, ball 2. John Smiley has worked the Mets to perfection with off-speed pitches, showing the fastball occasionally. Has retired 17 Mets in a row and has allowed just 1 base hit and 2 walks. He has struck out 6. A high fastball that Johnson misses, and it's 2 balls, 1 strike.
Magnin did make that error in that last inning, but the Met defense has really stopped the Pittsburgh Pirates from scoring in this game. 4 or 5 really fine plays by that Met defensive core.
Pirates have been shut out 3 times as often as the Mets. Check swing foul evens the count at 2 and 2.
The worst thing you can do is be in between on pitches. You know, if you're going to look for a fastball and adjust, that's one thing. But if you sit totally on a fastball, you're going to be fooled on all the breaking pitches. But if you get yourself in between, not knowing what you're thinking, they're going to beat you on every pitch.
The worst decision is no decision. Johnson gets a high breaking ball and laces it foul down the left field line into the first or second row, and the count remains 2 and 2. Now Randy Myers up and throwing for New York. Well, let's go back to the month of June and Howard Johnson's 9th inning game-tying homer off Jim Gott.
2 outs and 2 strikes. Probably the most deflating pitch of the year for the Pirates.
1 month ago tonight. Popped up, and it's playable behind home plate for Mike LaValliere. 1 away, and 18 in a row retired by Smiley.
Now batting, shortstop Kevin Elster.
That'll bring up Kevin Elster, who is 0 for 2.
The rest of this series, the Pirates are going to throw Fisher against Sid Fernandez, Bob Walker against Ron Darling on Sunday. Then on Monday night, Drabek against Gooden. Pretty good matchups.
You're not kidding. Elster hits it a ton to left. Barnes going back. Home run!
Tim McCarver told you earlier in the game, the last 2 home runs that Kevin Elster has hit this year were both against the Pirates. Now it's 3. He gets all of it. That's a good smile right there.
Elster's 7th home run of the year. And it's a big one.
Smiley makes one of his few mistakes of the night, and it cost him. Bonds, good try here. Just out of reach.
1-0 New York with 1 out in the bottom of the 8th inning. Only the second hit for the Mets, as Elster's home run gives the Mets the first lead of the ball game, much to the delight of the fans who have deposited a little debris on the field. Here's Bob Ojeda. Strike one.
And that abruptly stopped at 18 in a row.
The Mets had not had a base runner since the second, and only had 1 hit prior to Elster's homer. Ojeda pops it up foul out of play behind the Pirate dugout, and it's 0-2.
Bobby Ojeda's pitching, that home run, and the Met defense have been the key to this game.
Another one out of play. It's still 0-2 to Ojeda.
Roger McDowell now warming in that Met bullpen.
And Ojeda with a line drive base hit into right center field. Or left center, I should say. Back-to-back base hits. First time we've seen that on either side tonight.
Ojeda looks a little tired on the bases there. He battles with his hit. He is not going to take a jacket on this muggy night. I know that'll make Timmy happy.
And pitching coach Ray Miller is now coming out of the dugout to chat with John Smiley and Mike LaValliere. The hits are all even at 3, and the Mets have a 1-0 lead on Kevin Elster's 1-out first pitch home run here in the bottom of the 8th inning. Only the 8th home run John Smiley has allowed in almost 140 innings of work.
Here's that pitch Smiley threw. Looked like a fastball. It moved a little bit, but it moved particularly good after he hit it. Moved right on out of the ballpark.
Moved 180 degrees the other way.
That ball did have a little hop on it.
One of the few times, Rusty, that Smiley has not started a right-handed hitter with an off-speed pitch of some kind, and he paid for it there. So Ojeda at first, still 1 out, and here's Mookie Wilson, who's 0 for 3. Ball 1. Ball 2.
Pay attention here. Smiley's windup now, or he's in the stretch, but in his delivery to home plate, his tempo's quicker again. He's rushing himself a little bit. Might be a sign of fatigue.
A drive to right field. Glenn Wilson there. And 2 out as Ojeda goes back to first base. Until the 6th inning, the Mets really hadn't hit a ball very hard against Smiley. McReynolds did have a line single in the second, but Magadan in the 6th inning with 1 out sent a deep drive to center field that was hauled in by Andy Van Slyke. And until Elster's home run, those were the only 2 balls hit with any kind of authority against him. Magadan 0 for 2 plus a walk. Takes inside ball 1.
A couple of hard foul balls. A couple of line drives into the seats. The trouble they were over the dugout.
We're more than a day late.
A lot of goose eggs on that scoreboard.
Right in there, 1-1 to Magadan. Magadan started this game hitting .421 against Pirate pitching, including his only home run of the year. Ground ball ball to first. Sid Bream with an easy play, and the inning is over. But the Mets get what may be a big run on the home run by Kevin Elster. They have 2 hits and leave 1, and it's 1-0 New York as we go to the 9th inning. After this, for New Jersey Bell's Yellow Pages. But Kevin Elster made his presence felt with the home run in the bottom of the 8th inning, and it's New York 1, Pittsburgh nothing. And Bob Ojeda trying to complete it in the top of the 9th inning. John Smiley at one point retiring 18 in a row prior to Elster's home run, as he and Ojeda have both been outstanding. Here in the 9th, it'll be Jose Lind, Andy Van Slyke, and Bobby Bonilla, the 2, 3, and 4 hitters in the Pirate lineup. And an off-speed pitch for strike 1 to Lind, who is 0 for 3. Jose has struck out, grounded into an inning-ending force play, and grounded to first. Fly ball, right center. Wilson on the run, has a bead. 1 out in the 9th.
Davey Johnson has sat McDowell down. Has Myers up again.
Davey with Mel Stottlemyre and Buddy Harrelson, as Myers appears to be ready if called upon. Now Bobby Ojeda with 1 out in the 9th will face Andy Van Slyke. Van Slyke is 0 for 3. He is flied to left and grounded to second twice. And he takes a fastball for strike 1. Strike 2.
The hitters have to be realizing the strike zone that Joe West is calling. The left-handed hitter right now, after that pitch, has to move up in the box a little bit and get closer to that plate and challenge. You can't be called out on that pitch.
A drive to left, and it's deep. McReynolds at the fence makes the catch.
A little bit of a bad pitch that time by Ojeda, but he got away with it.
This is not your best 0-2 pitch here.
It's a little bit of a breaking ball, and it's up out over the plate. And it's like just misses hitting a home run on this pitch.
So the crowd standing now with 2 out in the 9th inning. And Bob Ojeda to face Bobby Bonilla. Outside, ball 1. Bonilla has one of the 3 Pirate hits. He singled to lead off the 2nd inning. He has since grounded to third and flied deep to left center. A ground ball to short, it should do it. The Mets lead the Pirates by 3 games in the National League East as Bob Ojeda picks up his 3rd complete game and 3rd shutout of the year, and the Mets win it on Kevin Elster's 8th inning home run, 1-0. New York has won when they have had to, and they felt they had to tonight, and they did. John Smiley with an outstanding game, bested by the home run and by Bob Ojeda. Ojeda's record now 8-8 on the year, and Smiley 9-7. Rusty and I'll be back to wrap this one up at a very happy Shea Stadium. Only the first of 4 big ones with the Pirates, however. 1-0 New York is the final, and we're back after this for your Lincoln Mercury dealer.